about 2 weeks ago, I put in the comment section of my YouTube page and something where I asked people, do they have any questions for me? It's like a Q&A, something I thought that would be interesting to do. So here we are. A couple of people asked a couple of questions. So I'd like to get into those questions and find out if they'd be interested in hearing what they had to say and my answers to those questions. So here we go. First question is from my man Victor Garcia. He says, I hope you've been okay, brother. I missed the serial posts and the movie reviews, but with the recent events, that's difficult. I do want to see New York City through your eyes, brother, perceptively and literally. Well, my man Victor been following me for a little bit back since the G Plus days, so I do appreciate you. How have I been? I have been okay. I've been doing my thing. I've been working back and forth, just trying to stay sane, trying to get through this stuff. There's been some ups and downs. For those folks that have been following me, you know exactly, what's going on with me personally and stuff like that. For those people that know me personally, there's been some losses. There's been some things that have happened. There also, too, not to get too deep into it, because by the time this video come out, I'll probably have already talked about it, but this month I'll be turning, 40. So that's another thing that I'm getting into. As far as the movie reviews and the serial posts, that'll definitely come back, but it's challenging because of all the things that are going on, all the stuff that's happening. Definitely, I would love to go out there and do movie reviews. I had to get better with my movie reviews and the serial post and, the vlogs and stuff like that, and show more of New York, through my eyes, prospectively and literally. It is something that I've been thinking about, and hopefully everything is okay with you, my man Victor. Like I said, hopefully everything is all right with you and your family. Thanks for the question. Thanks for the concern. I appreciate you, brother, and we'll link up. So my next set of questions comes from Maria, TCK Vlogs. I mean, I've been linked up for a while, for about 2 years. I've been following a really cool individual. So let's see what she had to say. She got a couple of questions. She got about 10 questions. So she says, hi, MLML, love your channel. I have a few different questions, 2 different topics. The first one is, how do you keep your spirits up during this really uncertain times? How do I keep my spirits up? If I had to think about that, what I do is I try to think of the possibilities. I try to focus on hope. I do have faith, in God, that God will bring me through each day, because it's not me bringing myself through each day. It's not me, moving on my own understanding, even though sometimes people like to think that they're wiser than what they are. I try not to take myself too seriously. I try not to, lean too much on my own understanding. I try to gain wisdom from everywhere, from everybody. I try to look at the bright side or silver lining in every situation, no matter how black or bleak or dark or desperate it gets. Hopefully that answers that one question. Second question she asked me is, if you had to live by one quote, what would it be? I got to think about that one. It's tough. I think my grandmother, she passed away in 2015. A quote that she always used to say, don't talk about it, be about it. If anything, you just remember to be about it, to not spend too much time philosophizing, not too much time trying to convince people that you are about something, when all you got to do is just, you live it, you do it, you be it, you become it, if that makes sense. The third question is, what would you say to someone who is learning to find themselves? What would I say to somebody learning to find themselves? Be true to yourself, be true to who you are, and follow your passions. See where life leads you as a part. If it's things that you're doing that builds you up and that benefits you, the people around you. If it's something that's leading you, the things that you're doing is leading you to make you a better person, and the people around you are better, then that's probably something you should be doing more of. Be it praying, be it reading, be it, just reaching out, doing charity work, just coming in tune with yourself, learning to learn who you are, to get knowledge of yourself, to be honest with yourself, to be accepting of yourself with your flaws and all the scars and everything like that. Hopefully that makes some type of sense, Okay, and the fifth one is, do you think the media is dividing us? I don't think it's so much the media that's dividing us. I think they play a part but I think it's more of a tribalism that's involved with what we are, who we are. I think it's the politics that are dividing us more so. I mean, does the media play a part in trying to do it? I don't think it's something that they do alone. I do think it's certain powers that be, or certain people that stand to profit and facilitate certain conversations or certain type of emotions and manipulate it to where folks, can profit off of us being divided, if that makes any sense. Because when I look at people being divided, you have to ask yourself who stands to gain from the division that comes. Who are the entities, who are the people, who are the groups. Always look at that. Sometimes it's not always the media, sometimes it is the media involved, but the people can determine, where the division may flourish and where the division, may die, depending on who we are. We as the people can determine, a lot of different particular things. I think the media is not dividing us any more than what people want to be divided, because of the fact is that you can turn it off. You can choose not to watch. You can choose not to be a part of it. A lot of people don't watch certain media. In fact, we're more segregated with the media than we've ever been before. If you want to watch conservative channels, you can watch conservative channels. If you want to watch liberal channels, you can watch that. If you want to try to go for something more unbiased, if you want to come out with your own opinion, you could do that as well. So I don't think it's the media alone. I think it's the people and the emotions and the tribalism and folks wanting to stay in their own cubbyholes and their corners. I think it does get exploited and manipulated by the media or the powers that be or the people that want to be involved or have certain interests in it. But I don't think it's just the media alone. So number 6 is basically it's kind of relating to number 5. Do you think we have been brainwashed by the media? No, I don't. I think honestly, if anything comes from the media is going to sensationalize certain things, but you can't really draw people out other than to what their lusts and their desires and their emotions are already there. So I think if there's anything that it does, the media does, or certain folks in the media, they play upon the emotions or the powder keg or the angst, or the environment that's already there. I'm not going to play upon something that's not there. I'm not going to try to insert something that won't spark a flame or trigger somebody or cause somebody to react in a certain way. I can try to control a certain reaction, but I'm controlling a certain reaction or brainwashing you based upon what you already would be susceptible to. Especially if it's something where you're against immigrants, or maybe against gay people, or it's issues with religion or stuff with abortion. So I'll try to figure out if you're somebody that's for or against, or somebody who would normally, be peaceful and be civil. I'm trying to get you to be uncivil. I'm trying to create something where there's going to be, a powder keg. There's going to be division, because there's people that flourish and prosper during division, because you get to segment people, divided we fall, united we stand. But sometimes people don't want the people to be united and be together, because then it's harder to control people when they're together, when they're united, when they're not caught up in all the partisan politics and the tribalism and the bigotry and the racisms and all the isms that are out there that separate people. That's that. Next one is number 7. Do you believe people can change? Always. I believe people can change. This is where it gets a little complicated. I believe you have to want to change. That's where a lot of that comes into play, where people, they stay a certain way, or they choose to grow, because a lot of times people don't change because it causes them to do something that they don't want to do. Sometimes you have to forgive people. Sometimes you have to become somebody that's uncomfortable or unrecognizable to yourself. Sometimes people are used to being, with the devil that they know, or being with the bad habits that they can understand. They're going into the positive or the good unknown. Sometimes it's a scary thing to go walk over there to the other side, but everything that you need is over there: the change, the positive reinforcement, the uplift and the upbuilding, the better person. But sometimes that better person is unrecognizable. Sometimes that person is unfamiliar. That person is uncomfortable to the soul, uncomfortable to the skin. Why should I become that when I know what this is over here? This is the devil I know. This is the devil that I can understand, the one that I'm staring at in the mirror, the sins and the bad habits and the proclivities that I got. That's easy to deal with because I know what to expect. And sometimes people don't want to change because it forces them to have to do things that they don't want to do. But yes, I do believe people can change, but it has to be a want. Okay, number 8. What would you tell someone with childhood trauma? That's a challenge. That's a challenging one, because not everybody deals with childhood trauma the same. I mean, you try to tell somebody that you're there for them. You try to tell people to have with childhood trauma to find as many people who can relate to you as possible. To find support groups. To really begin to search within your soul that if you had childhood trauma, one of the first things I would tell a person with childhood trauma that it's not your fault. The things that have happened in your childhood that may have caused traumatic or PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder situations. So the first thing I would tell them, if anything, is that it's not your fault. Whatever happened, whatever went down, whatever took place, it wasn't the result of any of your actions. Especially if, you were in a situation when somebody else was raising you or chose not to raise you or some traumatic situation happened. That's what I would tell a person, that it's ultimately not your fault. Okay. If you could travel anywhere, this is number 9, where would it be? If I could go somewhere right now, I know there's some people out there that want me to say London, and that definitely would be it. But if I had somewhere I could go just for a day or two, just to travel anywhere, for some reason it keeps coming into my mind, Paris. I would actually love to go to Paris for a day. That's something that I would definitely love to do, just to see it, and the city of lights, the city of love, just check it out. Definitely. That's something I would love to do. Okay, and this is the final question from Araya. Probably one of the most important ones too. All of them are important though. It says, what would you say to someone who is needing to feel loved? Well, I mean, I would say if you're religious, God loves you. Definitely. You're not without love. Every day that you wake up, it's a blessing. But I would say someone needing to feel loved is to understand what makes you special. To understand, who you are, and it starts from within. It starts with appreciation, of the self, and understanding what makes you special, understanding what makes you unique, understanding your self-worth, understanding, why you are who you are. Because I think a lot of people, fail to appreciate themselves. I'm not saying appreciate yourselves more than, you appreciate other people and be self-centered or anything. But sometimes we don't look in the mirror, or sometimes we don't realize the uniqueness about ourselves, or sometimes we don't realize the greatness within ourselves. Sometimes we let other people tear us down with the negativities and, the proclivities, the stuff about us, the flaws, the faults. We pay too much attention to that. And I think that's where we lose. I think that's when we don't see it, because people will begin to love you. People will begin to gravitate towards you as you begin to love yourself, as you begin to appreciate yourself. Because then you allow people to understand, or you teach them, this is how I want to be treated because I treat myself a particular way. Sometimes how we are treated is a reflection of how we treat ourselves. So it's important to hold yourself to a standard. It's important to have self-care. Self-care is just as important, as caring for others. And sometimes we forget to do that. It's like the saying goes, it says sometimes you could be so busy trying to feed other people that you starve yourself. Sometimes we're so busy trying to love other people that we forget to love ourselves, that we get to understand that it starts with us. It radiates out and then it reflects back, to us, because we're putting that out there. But it also starts with how we treat ourselves, with seeing ourselves in the mirror and saying, I love you, I care about you, you're special, or you matter, because sometimes our biggest critic, our biggest enemy, the one who throw the hate on us the most is ourselves. If we can have self-hate, we can also have self-love. We can also begin to appreciate, and I think it starts there. And I think it radiates out and it comes back to us because we understand who we are, what makes us special. Hopefully that was helpful. And my last My last question is a long one from the homie Llama Monster. I gotta take my time to read this one. It says, I want to know why folks are so divisive over which creepy rich guy to vote for. Things gradually get worse regardless of which party is in office. We've had the same foreign policy since FDR, that's Franklin Delano Roosevelt, for those that don't know. And it seems to me that the old adage, presidents are selected, not elected, is ringing true. I personally doubt that if it actually made a difference by voting, they would let us vote at all. It's absolutely delusional to believe political parties represent you. They represent the lobbyists who incidentally own both teams. Keep in mind that the Bushes and the Obamas adore each other and laugh at us while they're vacationing together in the Bahamas. As far as the pandemic goes, I've heard all sorts of things, and whether or not they're true isn't my problem. My problem is surviving this nonsense until the next round of distraction comes along. Is Trump a racist? Is Biden a child abusing Satanist? Probably not on both counts, but the nonsense is sure a great distraction. That's a lot to unpack. So we're gonna get into it. I guess that my best take on it, why people are so divisive over which creepy old guy to vote for, is because sometimes we get so caught up in our own slice of life. We get so caught up in our own interests. We get so caught up in vilifying each other and dehumanizing each other that it makes it hard for people to see that we're all human beings. We're all Americans. There's nothing wrong with voting. Like I said, if that's your thing, if it's not your thing, then I get that as well. Some people out there do believe that, presidents are selected, not elected. Either way, I would say still exercise your civic duty, because the moment that you believe that your voice does not matter, unfortunately, it doesn't, because you're giving that power up. So even if it's not just through the electorate, you can still, speak and converse with your local congressmen, your senators, your governors, your council people, your mayors. Being involved in the political process is important, but coming at it from a sense of civility. And I think things are so divisive, as it seems, as you asked, because we forget to see each other as human beings. We forget to see, okay, just because you disagree with me doesn't mean that I have to vilify you or dehumanize you or hate you, because some of us have people that, don't look like us but share the same views. Some of us have people that look like us that have different views. It's really about understanding that just because you stand on a different side of the issue, it doesn't mean I have to hate you. But somehow or another, that became the popular narrative, the popular theme, that in order for us to thrive, we have to hate those people over there. Those people over there are a problem. Those people over there have issues. When we're the ones that are upright, when we're the ones that are for this country, we're the ones that are American, be it red or blue, be it white or black, be it gay or straight. It's something that people have used, to divide us, because people fear what they don't understand, especially if they see differences in a person. You've heard that people feel what they don't understand. There's a lack of understanding or a lack of wanting to understand, because it bothers some people. Some people don't want to change. Some people really don't want the country to come together. They don't really want people to come together and be one and try to deal with each other and live with each other and be cohesive and have coherent civil discourse with each other, even if we stand on different sides of the issue, be it with stuff that comes with climate change, be it things, when it comes to healthcare, abortion, immigration, just racial inequality, different things with the economy. We all have different viewpoints. And it's important to note that, like I said again, just because we have different views doesn't mean it's okay to vilify each other. And somewhere along the lines, it became to vilify each other because it was easy to control different swaths of society if they divided, as opposed to everybody coming together. So that's where I stand on that. As far as the politics, as far as selected and elected, and how things are set up, and the political parties and the lobbyists and everything. I don't pretend to know the backstory of that. I don't pretend to have any secret information and stuff like that, on any conspiracy theories, assuming that, I've heard of the Manchurian candidate, folks that know that, Google that, what a Manchurian candidate is. Maybe you're referring to that, Lama Master. I'm not sure. But for the most part, I definitely will agree with you that it's divisive. I definitely will agree with you that there's things to keep in mind. There's things going on with the pandemic. And the thing is, to get through it, to try to get through it, to not allow yourself to be so taken up with all the negativity that's out there. Sometimes you have to cut the news off. You be informed and be aware as much as you need to be. But, sometimes you have to back away from that stuff and realize what it is to be a human being, and to understand what's going on out in the world, and what's real and what's not, what's important and what's not important. And sometimes we put the politics or the positions that we hold above being a human being and dealing with each other with civility before anything. And that's only going to lead us down a dangerous path. So, with that being said, hopefully I answered all those questions. Let me know in the comment section if you have anything that you want to say, any other questions that you ask, however you may feel about this video, whether it's too short, whether it's too long. I appreciate you, love you, thank you for watching. Catch you next time. I think I got to do a live stream soon. I am going to do a live stream soon, but I don't know if I'm going to edit this part out. But anyway, you'll see me on the interwebs on the YouTube. Thank you. As always, spread love. It's the Brooklyn way.